So allow me to introduce our panelists. So we will welcome Dr. Melanie Alcausin from the NIH. We're also welcoming once again Ms. Dr. Ludena Castillo, child neurologist and member of the Rare Diseases Special Interest Group, the country president of AstraZeneca Philippines, Ms. Lourdes Ramin, Jennifer Soriano, representative from the Philippine Society for Orphan Disorders. We also have again, of course, Ms. Araceli Lenorio from NF1 Friends, Philippines. We also have back on stage Ms. Helen Driz, lupus advocate from Hope for Lupus. I would also like to invite Ms. Kathy Anteria, caregiver and rare disease advocate. Together, this panel reflects the spirit of today's theme, more than we can imagine. Because improving rare disease care requires a collective effort across sectors. To guide this conversation, I now invite our moderator. She is a board-certified dermatologist with a subspecialty in pediatric dermatology with experience in pediatric rare diseases with dermal manifestations. Folks, let us welcome Dr. Donna Sarosa to lead the discussion.
Good morning. Okay, ang dami natin mga big time dito, ha? So, we're very fortunate that for this morning session with a partner of our pharmaceutical company, as well as our advocacy groups here this morning for this, what we call Rare Disease Agham Kapihan. So, na-enjoy niyo ba yung kape niyo dyan at almusal o snack? Okay. So, maybe during the first part, no, where Doctora, talk about the rare disease and the Disease Act by the Rare Disease Act of RA 10747. It may be very deep for you, but for this morning, we're going to do like a very casual, talk and ask. Later on, you can ask your questions. But first, you may be wondering, what is a dermatologist doing in this program, no? Like moderating this session? Actually, we're very active now under the Philippine Derma Society and under the what we call the Pediatric Derm Society of the Philippines, trying to form also a group that we have like the NF, the lupus group, and we want also, this is our goal now also, to try to open a rare disease group in the Philippines. And like what Dr. said earlier, no, we have pockets, no, different specialties are doing these pockets. Meron sa HEMA, meron maybe sa internal medicine, and then we have also in dermatology and in other specialties, but the voice is not too loud. And I think, no, this morning, this is a good time. This is the week, the Rare Disease Week, where we can focus on this and work as a group, as a team, as a nation. Okay, so let's start the ball rolling. And, I would like to ask maybe the first question for our neurofibromatosis advocate, no, Ms. Ara. So you've actually shared your journey to us, and based on your experience, no, that you went through over the years, and it was only in 2011, right? So ang tagal, pinagdaanan mo. What is one change in the healthcare system that you felt made a very big difference for you?
Actually, though, I was diagnosed 1996. Sorry, I was diagnosed 1996.
Oh, okay.
So, I met Kat at around 2011. So, up until now, one of the big changes is yung nagkaroon nga tayo ng rare disease. But if it had been very implemented na, kung ma-implement talaga siya fully, from the screening, diagnosis, and the funding, it could really help NF1 patient and the rare disease community to really have their own voices to be heard.
Okay. So I think this is a very good debate. I mean, ngayon lang ba tayo nagkaroon ng ganito? Or something, this is the first time.
This is the first time na nagkaroon tayo ng ganito. And we all know that rare disease are very few in numbers, but of course, our stories, our voices, dapat hindi rin maging rare. Yun din yung gusto namin maiparating na pwedeng kulang kami sa numero, pero make it a point na yung boses namin hindi magkulang para po mas lalo kami maintindihan at mas lalo kaming magkaroon ng sapat na pangangalaga, especially when it comes to our medication.
Oh, kailangan tuloy-tuloy. So itong araw na to, tandaan nyo ha, Feb 26, umumpisahan natin itong forum na ganito. So this marks a very special moment. At hindi dapat, so this is like a spark, although it has been there, but dapat tuloy-tuloy yan. Okay. And for our next, the one who also talked earlier, okay, our lupus advocate, Ms. Helen Dries, for someone who was diagnosed with lupus, what kind of support do you think would help them feel like they're less alone?
Hello again? Yes, ma'am. Speaking from my experience, nung time na na-diagnose po ako, of course, one of the most important thing na meron ako was the emotional support from my family. Napakahalaga po nun. And unfortunately, based sa mga nangyayari sa mga kasama namin, hindi lahat ng katulad namin may sakit was given that. Marami rin kaming mga kasamahan na mismong pamilya nila, hindi sila emotionally and mentally nauunawaan. So for a newly diagnosed patient, please help them emotionally, tulungan natin sila mentally. It's not that kaya mo yan. Hindi, kundi itanggapin natin na yung mga nararamdaman nila, mga sinasabi nila, totoo yun. At hindi lamang para palakasin. It's not pity kasi ma'am. It's not pity, helping people with chronic illnesses. It's understanding. Another is the physical help you can give us. Kasi that, speaking also from my experience, that time I cannot walk on my own. From 41 kilos, nag-drop pa ako to 36. So basically, skin and bone. So, my family was there to assist me, going to the CR, everything. Most of the patients have matinding, rayuma, pananakit ng katawan, panghihina ng katawan. That alone will greatly help a person na suffering from lupus. Another one is the financial help, of course. Sobrang mahal po ng pagpapagamot, lalo na pag bagong diagnosed ka. Blood test alone, laboratories will cost you 10,000 pesos, worth of 10,000 pesos. And you need to do that at least pag bago ka talaga monthly. Pag medyo okay ka na, every 3 months. Pag okay ka na, it is a requirement you do it every 6 months. And next is, of course, para sa mga patient, yung connecting with other patients, halimbawa, looking for a support group, which nowadays is very, very available to everyone. Just like po yung group namin, there are also other groups like Luisa and Lupus of the Philippines. Lahat po kami is available online, hindi naman kailangan face-to-face. Even me, I have experiences po since I am the head facilitator and operations in HFL. 24/7 po open ang phone ko para sa mga kasamahan namin na magme-message, minsan mga nanay, minsan mga kapatid, yung anak ko ma'am, ganyan. So, for a patient na newly diagnosed, being able to talk to someone who have the same experiences as you really is a 100% malaking turnover yon. Kasi iisipin mo, hindi naman pala ako nag-iisa. Bakit sila, okay na sila ngayon? So, yun po.
Yeah, I think really, and that's why support groups, no,
Yes.
like what you have, is very important. But we also have to be cautious, no?
Yes.
Because especially with social media now, they can go to a different channel and they might be misled.
Yes.
And that's why I think it's very important that we have our professionals also here and other, groups as well to help guide us, no? So, okay, now, moving on, we have here Mr. Soriano, who is part of the Philippine Society for Orphan Disease Incorporated. And I'm very touched by their logo. It actually, in their brochure, they really mention that people in this organization, in this group, they say they deserve a chance in life. And so, after hearing the stories, from your experience under the PSOD, where do rare disease patients struggle the most? What do you think, based on your experience, especially in our country? Because Dr. showed us earlier, the different countries where they have these acts and these programs. So
Again, good morning, everyone. I am Jeremy Soriano from Acromegaly, Philippines, and we are under the umbrella organization of the Philippine Society of Orphan Disorders. So in the current situation of the rare disease here in the Philippines, for me there are three struggles that we experience the most. First is the diagnostic odyssey that we're experiencing, the long journey of patients to having accurate diagnosis. So in my experience po, I am lucky that I was diagnosed at an earlier stage. So for me, it's really the doctors who can help us to determine that a patient is having a rare disease. So in my case, September of 2021, I had this early symptoms of type 2 diabetes. I'm experiencing hyperglycemia. And when I was rushed into the hospital, there are a series of tests that was done to me. And then the doctor, I guess he's only a general practitioner or an internal medicine doctor. He said that there's features that I might have. So sabi nung doctor, parang malaki daw yung kamay ko, I have these acral features na tinatawag niya. So from there, sabi niya sa akin, I need to undergo CT scan. So from the result of the CT scan, they found out that there's a small lump on my pituitary gland, and it's called the pituitary macroadenoma. And that's the primary reason why we are having this type of rare disease called acromegaly. So because of that tumor, the pituitary gland excretes excessive growth hormones that causes the enlargement of the hands, the feet, the change in the physical appearance of an acromegaly patient. So it's really important that we have proper training, I guess, for the medical field, or the medical professionals. Kasi from that point, yung early diagnosis ko po ang nag-lead sa akin to a better prognosis. So we really advocate that an early diagnosis can lead to better prognosis. And yung pangalawang struggles that we are experiencing in the rare disease here in the Philippines is the access to orphan drugs and medications. No, so it's really hard for us rare disease patients to buy medicines, to access these drugs. So for example, in acromegaly, we don't have medications here in the Philippines. In fact, there are certain drugs like the recently the paltusotine. If you are familiar with it, it's an oral medication for acromegaly, and it's being taken every day. There are lanreotide, octreotide, pegvisomant, cabergoline, and some other orphan medications which is not available. And this is not applicable just to acromegaly, but also to all other rare diseases in the Philippines. So it's really a struggle for us to access orphan drugs and medication. And lastly, the lack of support from the society. So like what Ma'am Helen said earlier, it's really important for rare diseases to establish such support group. And that is the primary reason why I established Acromegaly Philippines. Although we are not yet formalized, but I established it from just creating an FB group. So I established it 2023. And now in our group, we are 25. We have 25 acromegaly patients in the entire country. And it's really a good thing that we have this group because we can share experiences, we can share yung bang pagka yung kailangan mo ng support or you need someone to talk to. Yung mga acromegaly patients po doon ay nag-uusap-usap. And kagaya nga po nung sabi nyo, mas maganda na may guidance ng medical professionals. So in our group, we also have an endocrinologist and a neurosurgeon na naggagabay po doon sa mga patients para hindi lang nanggagaling sa amin from our experience. Of course, it's really important na syempre yung naayon pa rin sa guidance ng ating mga doctors and medical professionals. So for me, those are the three struggles that we rare disease patients are experiencing in the Philippines today. Thank you.
Okay. So from our three panelists who have shared, it boils down that really early and accurate diagnosis is very important. But also one factor that limits us is some patients don't want to go out, right? They just hide, they're scared. Ang common sasabihin sa amin, ay pag-aaralan lang ako, yung ganon. Diba? They have that thinking that they will just be worked on. So